Dan, as always, thanks for taking the time after practice here today. And before we talk Bengal football, I wanted to say to you publicly that I have been genuinely moved and impressed, and it's really been overwhelming. You guys and Westwood are obviously big rivals, right down the street from each other, want to kill each other on the field and on the court as good rivals should. But since the unbelievably tragic injury to Mark Mickens, I've seen a coming together between these two schools, the communities that surround them, like that's as special as anything I've ever seen. And I think a tip of the hat to you and your players and your kids at this school and the community and the parents is obviously you're very deserving of that. But I wanted to express that to you, but also just kind of get your take on just a horrible thing that none of us as former players, as coaches, as you are, as fans of the game, and most of all as parents can even imagine. And again, I just salute you and everybody over here for coming together with the fine folks over there. And just want to give you a moment to maybe talk a little bit about how this has impacted everybody.
Well, it's a tragedy. And Mark's a football player over at Westwood, and Rodney, I've known Rodney for years now, and you can't understand. I mean, no one can comprehend how tough this is for him, for Rodney and the family and the players over there. And we're one town. You know, it's no different than a rivalry between two brothers. It's hard. So we love to compete against each other, but we still love each other. And it'll always stay that way. So right now our prayers are with Mark and his family and all the players over at Westwood, all the, Mark's family, Rodney, all the coaches. It's a very difficult situation. It's hard to talk about, and it's something that we think about all the time, and we're here for them. Nobody should ever have to endure this alone.
Well said, and obviously we all are certainly more than hoping, more than praying and all that for the ultimate good outcome on this, and hopefully that'll happen.
We all pray it will.
So let's move on to some football. And last time out on a crazy Friday night, weather-wise, lightning delays, I mean the whole thing, all around the state it was nuts. But ultimately, you and Lexington played a heck of a tough ball game, and it turned out that they went on a long drive, scored late, and you lost by a point, 21-20. And it turned out that you had an open date next week. Has that open date been a good thing following a tough early season loss like that, or how's it?
You never like to sit on a loss for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. It's really difficult. You never like to sit on a loss regardless. But for 2 weeks, it was difficult. But you have to forget the game, and we got to move forward. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing we've been doing right now. The biggest thing, the timing for the open date was great. We had so many kids banged up in this past game. Mm-hmm. We had 2 offensive tackles that weren't able to start in the game, 2 starting offensive tackles, plus Osei Thomas once again got hurt and wasn't able to finish the game. So we also had our starting inside linebacker out, Cassius Garner. So it was a tough, challenging night, and we felt like we were having to constantly adjust. But I tell you what, Lexington did a fantastic job. They played great. They were well coached. Tip of the hat to Josh Stepp and his staff. They do a fantastic job. So one of the great things about playing Lexington is we're always going to have great games between the two of us. Mm-hmm. And you just would like to finish on the winning side instead of the losing side. But somebody had to lose in this game. So yeah, it was us. Hopefully we get to see them again maybe in the playoffs. That would be nice. Mm-hmm. I think it would be a great game again. Mm-hmm. And I think everyone who was there got their money's worth. So it was a lot of fun. It did help us get healthy and ready for this next week. And
when you have Clover, heading up the road to play a team that just likes to try to run it down your throat, right?
Clover, you got to wonder why we schedule games like that. Preparing for Clover is always so tough based on the teams we see on our schedule. It's just such a different animal. Mm-hmm. And it's a different animal, their offense as well as their defense. Their defense is a little unorthodox, They got those tilted ends out there and the 5 techniques, and they're coming hard. So it is a big adjustment, and it's been an adjustment on both sides, and it's taken a lot of work for us to get ready for. So hopefully we'll be there.
Have the kids bounced back? Have they been resilient after, again, a really tough loss, and like you said, having to sit on it through a whole extra week?
Well, the good thing was it came on Labor Day weekend. We gave the kids Monday off, and we practiced Monday through Thursday, had our normal practices for that point. But on those 3 days, we focused on us, making ourselves better, not worrying about an opponent. And we pretty much did our offense versus our defense and just really worked on fixing our coverages, fixing all the little things, fixing our blocking schemes, just really worked on just us. And I think that part was the best part. Now we get here to Monday and we got a Clover game week, and now our normal week practice is totally different because you're preparing for a very unorthodox team. So it's been a challenge. It's been a little bit of a challenge this week.
Obviously, Osei's health is so critical, not just him running the ball, but it opens up the passing game. And as you've told me many times, that the key to your attack is balance. His shoulder has been kind of a recurring situation.
Yeah, he's got an AC joint sprain in his shoulder, and that's just one of those things. It could be with us the rest of the year. It could be with us for a couple of weeks. Kyle Wright's back at running back. He got cleared on Monday, so that was good news. Our 2 offensive tackles got cleared on Monday, so they're back.
Helps to have those 2 starting tackles, doesn't it?
It's easier to throw the ball when you got a little experience up front. But
Osei, as far as Friday, is he gonna go, or are you gonna wait and see game time decision?
We're waiting to see. We're gonna take our time. We'd like to have him for the whole year, and we don't want this to be such a recurring problem for the kid that he has to put up with it every single week. So if we can get him healthy, if it just means sitting out one more game, then that's what we'll have to do.
I want to ask you real quickly, the 3 guys that I talked to today, we'll have the video interviews up with them, but if you'll say a few words about them. First, Trey Churn, a 6'6" wide receiver. As I told him, I don't interview many guys taller than me, but certainly not many wide receivers that tower over me.
Trey has been a true blessing for us this year. I mean, not only is he an easy target for us to throw to, especially when he's going over the middle, but he has become one of the best blocking wide receivers we've ever had, and I might ever see again. I mean, he has just been fantastic. We're able to throw screens out his way. If we run the ball his way, he's on his guy, and he's creating a seam for us to get down the field on. He's been a blessing. If he just keeps improving, it's going to be scary because we talk about everybody improving each week. If he keeps improving, I'd like to see all the pancakes that he might end up having.
All right. Jared Russ, a senior defensive lineman that you can move all over. From what you told me against Lexington, had a heck of a game.
He really did. He's all over the place. He plays with such a high motor and just is so aggressive. His get off as soon as the ball is snapped is incredible. He just puts a lot of pressure on offenses to have to deal with how they're going to pick him up coming off the ball. His pass rush, his ability, he's just so smart. He just sees it before we even see it, and it's a fantastic job watching him out there.
And then finally, only a junior, linebacker Micah Bird, who 5'9", 211, got a man's body already on him. And you told me maybe 20 or so tackles against Lexington?
Pretty sure he had 20 tackles against Lexington. He was all over the field. He had to make up for Cassius not being out there, and he did a great job. That he registered the second most tackles in a game in our school history. Hassan Belton holds it with 24. So he's in pretty good company.
Wow.
I mean, he's up there with Hassan and Jalen and all those guys when it comes to tackles in a game. And he set 20 against a outstanding ball club. So I was really, really impressed with him.
Mighty impressive. Hence, he getting the CC's Pizza Blythewood Athlete of the Week award.
Well deserved.
As far as overall, though, you mentioned this week, of course, going into Clover, you guys had the chance to mend up a little bit, and relatively speaking, are you in pretty good shape going in injury-wise?
We think so. We just have a few nagging things, but at this point, I think we're going to be almost full speed, and that was our goal. We knew we were a little banged up heading into Ridgeview and Lexington, and our hope was that the bye week was going to allow us to finish out the year hopefully healthy, and it's helping so far.
Last thing, real quick. We talked before the season started that it appeared that this region could be truly maybe as balanced, to use that word, as it's been in a long time. And so far, it seems like we were right on that.
You know, right now, I think the biggest thing is who's going to be healthy when we get to region, who matches up best against certain guys, because not everyone's going to match up well against all the other teams. And it's going to be a challenge. You know, there's certain teams we'll match up better against, then there's a couple of teams that it's going to be tougher for us to match up against. Not going to talk about those teams just yet.
Right.
But there are some matchup issues that we have, but there's some that, you know, very good ball clubs that we are successfully match up against. So it's going to be fun. We're going to have a big race this season, and it's a fantastic region.
I hate to say this because I don't wish losses on anybody, but I've been telling people and some of my cohorts, I said, the winner of this region, I said, you write it down, and everyone thinks I'm nuts as usual. I said, the winner of the region is going to have 2 losses.
It is a very good possibility. It's going to be a tough region to go through undefeated. Because once again, the matchup.
Hey man, if anybody goes undefeated in this region, then let's go ahead and bake them a cake.
They're a contender.
Yeah,
and that's the other thing. This region is also going to make whoever wins this region is going to be ready for the playoffs. If we all can stay healthy through this region contest, because it's going to be tough.
All right, Coach. Great catching up with you here, and we will talk to you next week. Go get Clover now.
Thank you.
All right, man.